Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 15th of February, now is 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There is plenty of very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me emphasize once again how grateful I am for your attention and support, including donations. Your help truly keeps alive this channel, and my hope that one day I may be back in big journalism, if I may say this way. So thank you very much. Now let's talk about news, and I will start, of course, with Ukraine and the special military operation. And we have a RIA Novosti news agency here, which is reporting that according to Ukrainian sources, and we have here Strana UA as one of the sources, and this is Ukrainian outlet. So according to Ukrainian sources, Zelensky's regime start to withdraw from Bakhmut archives of governmental institutions. And in my understanding, this information is significant because, as you know, yesterday we had information that Zelensky's regime blocked entry in Bakhmut for civilians, for aid workers, and journalists. And today we are seeing information that Zelensky's regime is conducting removal of archives of state institutions from Bakhmut, and probably these informations are good indicators that good indications that Kiev may planning to withdraw its forces from Bakhmut. I cannot say that I am sure for 100% that this is case, but that's how I see this picture. Kiev is probably preparing withdrawal from Bakhmut. So let's continue. This is RIA Novosti news agency again, and we have some kind of continuation of previous news, because here we have information that Zelensky's regime evacuating from Chasov Yar. This small town is west side of the Bakhmut, not far away. So Zelensky's regime is evacuating government institutions from Chasov Yar and factories, which also should be indicator that, and let me show you this area on the map. So Bakhmut is, where is Bakhmut? It must be somewhere here. So yes, that's Bakhmut, and this is Chasov Yar, as you can see, and I think both these news that I just shared with you are good indicators that Zelensky's regime is planning to withdraw its forces from at least Bakhmut, but maybe even Chasov Yar, because as you can see on the even this pro-Ukrainian map shows that Russian forces are in such positions that they may at least try to do some pincer movement and establish full encirclement of Bakhmut and Chasov Yar, or at least operational encirclement of both towns. Bakhmut is already in operational encirclement, but same may happen to Chasov Yar, and probably that's why we are seeing information now that Zelensky's regime is evacuating governmental institutions and factories, manufacturing plants that are based in this small town. When it comes to Frontline and fight between the sides, update on the actions there. As you can see, mainly we are seeing artillery duels between the sides, but little by little, Russian side is managing to get closer to Seversk city, which is north of Bakhmut. Situation for Bakhmut is already difficult enough, particularly after Russian side did took control over the Krasnaya Gora and now are pushing in direction of Paraskovyevka settlement here. And once Russian side will establish control over this settlement, Bakhmut will lose basically all roads to withdraw heavy equipment if they will be ordered, if they will receive such an order. They can withdraw on foot through these fields, for example, but I don't see how they're gonna manage to escape with heavy equipment, because the tanks and armored personal carriers will just stuck in the mud in these fields. So this is development in this area. When it comes to Donetsk direction, hot point here still is Marinka, but as I understand, Russian side stopped its attempts to establish full control over this town, at least for this moment. There are some local fighting going on there, but Marinka basically is controlled, divided between the sides still. When it comes to Vuhledar, another hot point on the front line, here seems like Russian side just stopped all offensive operations and now just trying to take out Ukrainian positions with artillery. As you know, a few days ago we had the reports on Telegram. Russian media outlets don't really write about it anything, but I did share a video on my Telegram channel. And once I mentioned Telegram channel, I will say that if you want to see news many times a day, updates, then you can subscribe on my channel. You will see link in the description, and the Telegram channel can be some kind of insurance that if YouTube will be shut down in Russia, blocked in Russia, or if my account will be blocked by YouTube itself, at least we can have some line of communication through my Telegram channel. So if you can, please subscribe. And I do share many times a day updates, not just about Ukraine, but about many other interesting topics. So you may find it interesting, I hope. So as I said, I did share on my Telegram channel video footage of destruction of huge Russian armed convoy which happened in this direction, and it seems like now all offensive activities are basically stopped. I don't know what really happened there, what Ukrainian side articulates that entire brigade of Russian forces were destroyed in this area. I don't believe in this information because I don't have any factual evidence. I only see video footage in which some military vehicles were destroyed, but some military vehicles, 5 or 10, don't mean that brigade was destroyed. So it's hard to truly know what happened, but at least we can say that Zelensky's regime managed to secure Vuhledar and this direction for this moment. I did not expect this. I was thinking that Russian side will be more successful in this direction, but as you can see, situation is quite different. So let's continue with news. And we have this is TASS news agency, which is reporting that according to Russian Defense Ministry, In Lugansk region, Russian armed forces managed to conduct successful offensive operations, and they have some breakthrough there, and they establish control over the first and second line of defense of Ukrainian forces. There is footage here, but I cannot show this because it's a graphic footage of Ukrainian positions that were that become under Russian control. So you will find this footage on Telegram. Even though sometimes I do share graphic footage on my Telegram channel, I try to minimize this because it's hard to watch, and So yes, if we believe this information, then at least on Lugansk direction, Russian armed forces did manage to conduct successful operation. Let's continue. And Lugansk is here. Let me show you on the map again. This region here is Lugansk, and as you can see, quite activity is going on there. So yeah, let's continue. We have RIA Novosti news agency's report here, which is based on a statement from one of the officials in Zaporizhzhia region, Vladimir Rogov, who is saying that Zelensky's regime is planning to conduct counteroffensive operation in direction of Zaporizhzhia region to establish control over the land bridge between Crimea and the mainland Russia. And let me show you yet again on the map this area. That's an area that we are talking about. And I did said many times before that whenever Ukrainian so-called spring counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime come up in the news, I do think that only way they can try and conduct offensive operation is this area here, land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. But to achieve successful offensive in this area, Zelensky's regime had to take full control over the Energodar city and the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which is here. Then they have to establish control over the Melitopol city here and the Berdyansk port city here on the Black Sea. And to be honest, as I said many times before, I don't see any opportunity for Zelensky's regime to conduct successful counteroffensive operation in this direction. I don't see how they're gonna manage this kind of operation, and that's why I'm saying that only way Zelensky's regime will ever establish control over the Energodar, Melitopol, Berdyansk line is if Moscow for some reason will conduct yet another so-called regrouping like they did in Kharkov region and Kherson region. And if Russian military and political leadership makes decisions to withdraw forces from this area, then of course Zelensky's regime will have no problem to establish its control over this area, because there will be no one there to fight, to defend these territories. But yet again, I mean, if this happens, Russian society will, if Moscow for some reason, yet again, orders Russian forces to withdraw from this area, Russian society will probably take this as a treason, and for good reason. I will see it as a treason too, and I will see it as a result of the Western influence on Russian political and military leadership. If Western elites use the assets in Russian political and military leadership, they may force Russian side to, they may organize, they may be able to organize this kind of regrouping of Russian forces from there, because sadly, I must say, sadly, I'm afraid that Western elites and Western secret services had strong enough influence in high-ranking Russian military and political leadership. And sadly, Russian counterintelligence service is not up to the task to, recognize those individuals that has some ties with the Western elites and Western secret services and take them out. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my impression, and I have right to have, opinion about this. So as I said, only way Ukrainian side will be able to establish control on this direction is if Moscow, for some strange reasons, will decide to withdraw its forces from this area. Because in military terms, no way Ukrainian force is going to be able to defeat Russian side. Not here, not anywhere else. When it comes to big operations, Zelensky's regime may have some local successful local offensives, but when it comes to large-scale operations, then no, they have no chance against Russian side, I believe. So let's continue. Let's continue now. This is Kommersant News paper reporting that according to Seymour Hersh, as you know, this award-winning U.S. journalist, Seymour Hersh did publish his inquiry a few days ago about U.S. and Norway's involvement in attack on Nord Stream pipelines. So Seymour Hersh stated that this attack firstly was planned on June, really, but Biden was afraid. What reaction will it have, and maybe he had some other reasons too, or maybe no one even asked Biden's opinion. I mean, I don't think that Biden truly makes any decisions in USA, but at least formally he maybe was informed, because after all he's president of USA. And Samuel Hersh is saying that initially this attack was planned on June of 2022, but it was postponed up to September. And main reason why White House authorized this attack was that Biden and his administration were afraid that Germany will withdraw from this anti-Russian coalition that Washington and London are building against Russia, and to make sure that Germany is fully involved in anti-Russian actions and in conflict in Ukraine, they did decide that those pipelines gonna go, and that's why they did blow up those pipelines. Initially, according to Hersh, it was 8 devices that was stuck, put on those pipelines, but only 6 blew up, only 6 detonate, and experts that probably has talked to, saying that 2 devices probably did not work. Those 2 devices, I think, on Nord Stream 1 pipeline's first line, because only 1 from 4 pipelines are still working. So that's why this 1 pipeline are working now, that 2 devices just didn't blow up, didn't detonate. So at least that's what Seymour Hersh is saying, and I don't have any reason to don't believe his report. He's one of the best journalists of our lifetime, so you know. But yet again, I mean, it does show how U.S. Deep state conducts itself, even towards its allies, and Germany is, at least formally, is ally of U.S., isn't it? And they did attack Germany's national interests. And how sad is that Germany now has such a disgusting and degraded elites and political and military leadership that Berlin says nothing. Just nothing. I mean, it's just hard to believe that Berlin did not said anything about this attack, about inquiry of Hersh, for example, even though I'm quite sure BMD, German intelligence service, had the information from very beginning that it was U.S. involvement and U.S. and Norway's involvement. With the involvement of U.S. and Norway, these pipelines were destroyed. So Germany, we can call Germany like U.S. colony officially now, because that's what Germany really is, just colony. You know, that has no right to even protest, has no right for anything really, because it's a colony, and it's official. It's official now, you know. Sad to see this, man, because we are talking about Germany, man, and how they manage, how London and Washington manage to transform this country, this state, into what it is now. You know, you name it. I mean, what modern Germany is really. It's not a state, not an independent state for sure, at least. So, you know, let's continue. And RBK News Agency is reporting here that a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin will deliver his speech to Russian Federal Assembly, Russian State Duma and Federal Council will also hold meeting, unscheduled meeting. And when I see this information, when I read it, you know, I was thinking, why Russian Parliament and Federal Council have to hold unscheduled meeting straight away after, you know, Putin's speech. And I come up with, at least for this moment, I come up with two possible reasons, and I will share it with you, and then we will see if my prediction was right. First is that Putin may stated in his speech with the Federal Assembly that new wave of mobilization will begin in Russia. And this one may be general mobilization, I don't know. Maybe partial one, maybe general one, but my guess is that he may spoke about mobilization, about necessity of mobilization. And second is that Putin may talk about changes in status of special military operation. So maybe both. I don't know, but that's my guess, because if this will be a case, then State Duma and Federal Council probably had to give its approval for any decision that Putin will make about these matters. But yet again, time will tell. So Putin will deliver his speech on 21st of February. So it's not too long before we will learn what is planned. Let's continue. This is RBK News Agency again. And we have information here that this information may not say anything to you, but it's important for me, and it does give you indication about state of Russian economy at some sense, you know. So Russian ruble, Russian national currency, is continuing to lose its ground, and Russian ruble is weaker and weaker every week. And now this is today's information, that first time since April of 2022, $1 is exchange rate is 74 Russian ruble. What can I say, man? I did share my opinion about policies of Russian Central Bank and Finance Ministry towards weakening Russian ruble to fill up budget and to give some favors to Russian oligarchs that have interest in weak ruble. I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm quite sure this is artificial exchange rate that are not in interests of ordinary Russians. But yet again, I don't think that financial bloc, leaders of a financial bloc of Russian government care about ordinary Russians, or even know how we live and with what kind of problems we have to deal every day in our lives, including inflation. And of course, weaker Russian ruble will become higher will be inflation. It's just obvious. So yeah, I don't like this news at all. And as I said many times before, I'm quite sure if this policy of central bank will continue and the finance ministry, then it will not take long before we see 80 ruble for $1, 90 ruble for $1, maybe even 100 or 120 ruble for $1. Because this is artificial exchange rate. When Russia can demand, and this is happening when Russia can demand from everybody to pay for its exports with rubles, and Russian ruble may become strongest or one of the strongest currencies in the world. But they are not doing it, yet again, for some strange reasons. So let's continue. This is RIA Novosti, and we have information that today, for example, Russian Gazprom exporting to Europe through gas line that goes through Ukrainian territory, 50% more gas than in previous day. So today, Europeans will receive more Russian gas to give more energy to weapons manufacturers, so that they can produce weapons, then send those weapons to Ukraine, so that Ukrainian Nazis and Western mercenaries can kill Russians. And Russian government allows this to happen. I mean, you tell me what this is, man. And I don't take for answer that Russia needs some foreign currencies and blah blah blah. Russian can live with money that it makes having economic relationships with the rest of the world. Without Russia can live and survive without Western world, man. I said this many times, and I will say it again. So this has nothing to do with Russian interests, man. This is interests of oligarchs. This is interests of Gazprom and those oligarchs that have shares in Gazprom, because Gazprom is only formally is a state-run company. Basically, this is a private company that has some affiliations with the state, because many of many stakeholders and shareholders, they have nothing to do with Russia or Russian interests. So yes, yet again, this is one of the reasons, for example, not only one, of course, but one of the reasons why I will never support Putin and his people and his party. I will just never support them, because that's what they are doing. They are supplying with energy our enemies that are killing us, for God's sake. So let's continue. This is RBK News Agency, and we have information here. It's time for economy. Yes, little more information about economy. So this information is quite huge, really, because RBK News Agency reporting that Iran and China are finalizing their huge deal, oil in exchange of investments, according to which Iran may receive up to $400 billion of Chinese investments. $400 billion of Chinese investments. This is huge, man. And it seems like Tehran and Beijing are on final steps to reach agreement, which is which is great. I can be happy for Iranian society, because they need such a help, and they will receive it from China. After so many decades of Western sanctions, Iran definitely deserve to somehow manage and escape from Western from the problems that Western states create for Iran. So this is great. This is huge deal, of course. Let's continue. And TASS News Agency is reporting here that, according to Russian embassy in Bangladesh, officials of this country denied 69 Russian ships to enter ports of Bangladesh. When I see this information, I was kind of surprised, because Bangladesh has good relationships with India, and India is not really keen to impose on Russia any sanctions, and why Bangladeshi government acts this way, I don't really know. And it does shows you influence of Western elites, man. Because I'm quite sure some US ambassador did, get involved, threatened Bangladeshi officials with some sanctions or God knows what, and that's the result. 69 Russian ships are denied to enter Bangladeshi ports. Why? One day Bangladesh may need help from Russia, and Moscow may remember how Bangladesh acted when Russia needed friendly support. So, yes, there is some states that are able, or at least trying to, defend their sovereignty and act as sovereign nations, and say, at least try to, ignore Western demands and threats. But then there is countries like Bangladesh, which are acting like enemies of Russia right now. Okay, but because that's how I see it. Only enemy can do this kind of stuff. If they won't be our enemies, then okay, What can I say? Sad, of course, but it is what it is. And this is gonna be last news for this moment. This is gonna be last news for this moment. And as I said, if any crucial developments, of course, I will make one more update for today. But if not, then if not, then see you tomorrow. Have a nice day and take care.